Scholars and academics refer to this as the postmodern age. I think it's more the age of anxiety. There's plenty to be anxious about. We're bombarded by information all the time. But I think this gospel lesson really touches on an anxiety that's really prevalent among people who have a lot of stuff. Because, and that shows up with those little rectangular signs out in front of houses protected by ADT and all these other security systems, or houses that have great big fences around them and the gates, motorized gates. We have so much stuff. It's precious. We got to protect it. And here's Jesus kind of musing about, well, what does it take to plunder the house of somebody who has a lot of stuff? Well, obviously, you need to figure out if you can tie them up first. You can bind the strong man. Then have at the stuff. What in the world is Jesus talking? Is he advocating breaking and entering and thievery? Of course not. And I think some people refer this statement to what he was talking about with Satan. He's not talking about Satan. Because there are people in this story who are trying to bind him. That's the binding he's referring to. First, the family. The family has heard he's gone out of his mind. And that's going to happen to anybody, any of us here who has the audacity to be true to the self that God imprinted on us in the midst of a family system that wants to print a counterfeit self on you or on me. You have a role to play. I have a role to play. Don't step out of that role and be God's representative. Don't step out of that role and be Christ. I need you to be the caretaker. I need you to be the peacemaker. I need you to be the scapegoat, whatever. And those are the bindings that the family brings. Then there's one other one that Jesus mentions in this story. Yeah, if you try to be original, and I use that word intentionally because it's been confused with original sin. If you try to be the original person that God called and created you to be, it's probably going to bring a little notice from the public officials, either in the church or political officials. That's what the scribes are about. Oh no, you got to discredit this guy. They're going to bind him with misinformation. He's an agent of Beelzebub. He's an agent of the devil. You can't listen to him. You can't pay attention to her. If they're out there advocating for the poor, advocating for equal rights, advocating for this or that, out of a genuine sense of self and calling from God to do that mission, can't listen to them. They're trying to change the world. Oh, wait a minute. We were baptized to do just that. I was baptized to do that. I took upon myself the clothing of Christ, and you took upon yourselves the clothing of Christ to respect the dignity of every human being, to seek for justice and peace among all people, to seek Christ and serve Christ in others. Yeah, that'll draw attention, not just from the family, but from others as well. Now, there's one thing that's conspicuously missing here. I can bind myself. You can bind yourself. I can put up that little sign on me. Ego security systems at work here. Do not try to be a genuine human being. Do not attempt to be that person God called and created you to be, because I will set off all kinds of alarms. I will confuse you. I will stupefy you. I will make sure that whatever you do, you will be a failure. How can you even think such thoughts? So they missed that one in the gospel lesson. But that's a real good one in the postmodern age, because we've got so much information stuffed in our brains now. The ego has an armory just loaded with weaponry. So here's the upshot this morning. Don't be anxious. This is the postmodern age. And it's only the age of anxiety if you choose for it to be. And if it is an age of anxiety, something has you bound. Someone has you bound. You might have you bound. Don't worry. The Christ is here. And the Christ in you yearns to be free and will set you free.